Well, good morning, and thank you for attending the kickoff of the Spokane County Republican Liberty Caucus. And if you can start taking your seats here, we can get started. Just to let you know, I went to the state chartering in Yakima in January, and I heard all of the speakers there, and I really believe that forming a Republican Liberty Caucus in Spokane County would really crown our efforts that we've been working towards now for several years. So you're here today from our state chair, Sandi Brendale, and she'll be followed by Pamela of Okanogan County, and Matt Shea of the 4th District, and then Matt Dubin of King County. And almost everybody's here now, so we can get started. You know, I think we're putting 9:30 in the invitation, but you know, if we start by 10, this is Spokane, so we should have a lot of people here by then. So, you know, hopefully the turnout, we've invited everybody that we couldn't Liberty. I know there's thousands of us out there, but still, you know, it's like the Pareto effect, 10% of the people get 90% of the work. So I know we've got a lot of good activists out here, and that's the important thing. I think it will grow from here, you know, and it really will. But first, let me point out, there are some elected officials here. Let's see, who's here? Is Matt, Mike Fagan. Mike Fagan from the City Council. There's Mike Fagan back there. Hey, Mike, doing a stellar job, wonderful job there. And Matt Shea should be here pretty soon. Oh, there's Matt Shea. Matt Shea doing a yeoman's job, a wonderful job. You know, if you really stand for something, you get completely vilified, and you know, Matt's been a testimony to that too. So, but you know, it's better to take a stand and do the right thing. And okay, Karen Skoog from Monterey County. Karen Skoog is a wonderful looking person. Okay. And also, there's people running for office here. I see John Ahern in the back. John Ahern was a 6th District representative. John is running for Spokane City Council. He helped out Mike Fagan. And we also have Mark Hamilton. Mark Hamilton's running for Spokane City Council too. And I think Mark's going to be very eloquent and a good person to have on Spokane City Council. Thanks to Mike Fagan and actually Dave Condon too, we were able to get Ickley out of the Spokane City limits. So, also Valley City Council, is Rod Higgins here? Okay, Rod Higgins will be here later, I guess. And then Ed Pace. Ed Pace? Oh, stand up. Oh, there, Ed Pace. Okay, Ed Pace is running for Valley City Council too. So we also have Brian Dansel. Brian Dansel is running for 7th District Senator, a good Liberty person. And actually, I'd like to have Brian come up and say a few words, you know, so he gets a practice. I know he's kind of shy. He is a commissioner up in Ferry County. So Ferry County is one of those hotbeds of libertarianism. Do you want to say a few words, Brian? Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for, I didn't know I was going to be speaking today, but I appreciate all you liberty-minded people joining here, trying to figure out some of the problems that we have. I guess I'll just first say that I never ever really speak from a script. I think that too often in Olympia and Washington, D.C., politicians speak from a script. I don't like it. I don't think you do either. Quite simply, for too long in politics, special interest groups, government agencies, personal agendas have been given priority one. Meanwhile, you and I sit back and watch in bewilderment and wonder, what happened to the government of, for, and by the people? And this is the issue not only in this election, but every election. And like Ronald Reagan said, do we believe in our own ability for self-government, or do we believe that a group of those bureaucrats can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves? I can tell you that I believe in the people. I believe that you and I, as free individuals, will always be able to choose for ourselves better than any government agency. And if I can, just for a second, I became a father March 6th for the first time. There's no hospital that delivers babies in the county I'm from, so Pam, the greatest export from Okanogan County, came that day. But while I was sitting there holding my son for the very first time, I can tell you that all the regular feelings that everybody that's had children can testify to, that you sit there and you're loving, and just the first time you ever see them and you're just kind of taken aback. But then a sense of responsibility swept over me. Because if we failed to deliver the same freedoms and liberties that you and I enjoy today, in 20 years, my son will ask me, Dad, how come you didn't fight for our liberties and freedoms? How come we don't have private property rights? How come you let environmentalists choose public land use philosophy and that the people didn't fight for us? And I'd like to ask you to put your own minds to that task. Are you going to be willing to have that conversation with your children and grandchildren? I'm not willing to have that conversation with mine. And that's why we have to move forward from here united, determined, and willing to send a message that's bold and unmistakable. We must communicate to those who'd rather have us stripped of our rights and freedoms that they've had their time in the sun, and that what a great general once said before is true. When fighting, and this is a fight, there is no substitute for victory. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. And let's try and help all those candidates get elected, because some of us have gotten elected, but it's important that we keep adding to these numbers. Also, it's important that we have people who are willing to become campaign managers, or precinct committee officers, or put up signs. It all adds up. That was my very first effort, was putting up signs for Initiative 1098, you know, that Mike Fagan and Tim Eyman got going. And it actually was like a 13th car payment. I was just tired of being poor and always something else coming up, and we actually were able to get that thing overturned. And thought, hey, actually I was part of that. We were able to do something, but you got to get off your armchair. You just can't be an armchair politician and actually do get involved. And most of us in this room, we just want to be left alone, but they don't leave you alone. That's why it's up to us to do our civic duty. We have our duty to God, our family, our business, but we also have the civic duty too. And I know everybody in this room tries to do their civic duty, but you know, we also have to find them to fill in the breach, to fill in these holes that are needed there. And that's what it takes. And also things like this, to invite your friends. You know, if everybody here was able to bring another friend, we would have the place full. And I think it will grow because it's such a good idea. But let's see, was there anybody, elected official or anybody running for office that I left out? Okay, I'll mention, let's see, we also want to note the Gonzaga Republicans, Mary McAleer. Do you want to raise your hand, Mary, back there? They've offered to help us. So Gonzaga Republicans, they just don't sit back and eat pizza and discuss things. They actually get out and help candidates and help functions like this. And we have several tables around on our right. We have the Republican Liberty Caucus today, so hopefully you'll all sign up and become a member of the Republican Liberty Caucus. And Sandi, Brendale, the state chair, will talk to us a little bit later about that. You know, she'll be our first speaker, in fact. And also we have other tables here, so we should have about an hour to mill around after we're done. So go to these tables, find out more about them. And we have the Sound Money table over there. It's very important, you know. Judy Crowder and Rick Crowder. And Matt Shea's been working for Sound Money. It would be nice not to have all this funding money, you know. And we're working, we can't do it at the federal level, we can start out at the state level. So, you know, you can't print gold, you can't print silver. But if we had honest money, we could earn an honest living. Things would be a whole lot more honest, a lot more predictability in our lives. So it's a very important issue. And then we have a Citizens Association for Property Rights. And that's Aline Linsman back over there. If you own property, it's very important that those of us that own property get together and defend that property. And they're a growing influence, I think, in Olympia and different areas. So stop by Aline's table and talk to Aline too. And I see Tim Ben over there too. Okay. And then in the very corner there, Judicial Forum. You know, how many of you know what judges to vote for when you see these names come up? I never do. I still have problems, you know. I look at certain names, but I don't know a lot about them. A lot of us leave us blank, but if we did know something about them, we wouldn't leave them blank and, you know, let the people cast their blank vote or their non-vote. But if we have enough people who know who the good judges are, the liberty judges, the freedom judges, the ones that protect our property rights, the ones that follow the Constitution, we could have, we wouldn't have the judicial activism we have. We'd have a judiciary that actually did follow the rule of law. And what Judicial Forum does is, Dean Isaacson back there, he's got a background as a lawyer, although he's a contractor. But I wrote 4 cases. I studied 4 cases for Judicial Forum myself. I learned a lot about the law by following that. And what we do is you look at judges and see how they've decided upon certain issues and certain cases. We have a write-up of that case, and we give people, the attorneys and the judges, a yes vote or a no vote. And then we have send it out viral, and everybody can go to Judicial Forum and see what judges to vote for if you're not sure. It's just a wonderful thing, and that's one of those things we've kind of neglected way too long as a judiciary. So go back and see Dean Isaacson. He can use a lot of help, and actually it's a lot of fun, especially those who are armchair lawyers or armchair judges. You can actually make a difference without having to go to law school, because a lot of it's common sense, I think. And back there we have Laurel Durkee with the John Birch Society. You'll hear more about the John Birch Society from Pam Leslie from Okanogan County, who's coming up here. But let's see, I think Laurel has some handouts and can tell you about upcoming meetings. In fact, in this very room, we have had a lot of John Birch Society events that we've all learned from. I'm sure there's some upcoming here. So if you can't find the place, this is usually where it takes place. And we want to thank Tina Bishop and Valley Event Center and all the help that they've given us for giving us a venue that's affordable where we can have meetings like this. And in the back we have Washington Liberty Path. And here's a good place to make a donation to, because it's fairly new, but we're looking for a place, a political action committee that we can donate to that's transparent, that we can have people that are liberty people like ourselves who can take in this money and do it honestly and show it to everybody. We can all have a voice in who that money goes to instead of just giving to some white thing that could be going to anybody. And this is something to follow. So find out more about Liberty Pack. Standing next to the coffee stand, if you want coffee, there's Mark McKee. And going back over this way, we've already covered that table. That's where you sign up for Republican Liberty Caucus and actually have more questions about it. I also want to mention one other wonderful thing that happens in this room is it's the second Tuesday of every month we have movie night. And John and Cecily Charleston are just sitting back. Do you want to stand up, John and Cecily? And they started this movie night 2 years ago. We've had some wonderful movies, all different subjects, liberty subjects. We've had a lot of them on GMO foods lately, and I've been afraid to eat anything since then, so I have lost a little bit of weight. But one difference is, instead of Tuesday night, this upcoming Monday night, they're going to show a movie called Jihad in America, Grand Deception. I think they have some flyers about that, but I come to it almost every movie night that they have here, and it's worth going to. And, you can even, bring a friend, too, because a lot of people just don't ever see these things. But if you have the patience to sit and watch like a 90-minute movie and then talk to other people, mill around there, like we're doing now, you can learn an awful lot. So, without further ado, let's get going. There was kind of a late start here. But first of all, we're going to have Rick Crowder is going to come up and give our invocation. That's always the best way to start. You saw that Henry V clip. They all, before they go out to battle with the French, they all get on their knees, they make the sign of the cross, and they go on to victory. And that's what we do. We have to, not so much we pray that God is on our side, that we are on God's side. So Rick, you want to go ahead and give the invocation?
Thank you very much, except, Brian, I'm not like you. I have to script mine out. So, shall we pray? Heavenly Father, as we gather, we come to honor you this day. We come to acknowledge that you are the only one who can rightly lead and guide our country. Lord, we thank you for our country, our Constitution, our blessings of life and liberty, our heritage of freedom. We ask for blessings on all our servicemen and women, past, present, and future. Lord, we feel such sadness as we look at the direction our country is going. We see the lack of respect for you. We see the immorality. We see the enormous debt that our country has accumulated. We see the strife and the division that is growing within our country, Lord. We ask you to forgive our country for often turning our back on your principles. We have all taken you and our country for granted, and we have all fallen short of your wisdom, love, and mercy. Please forgive us as a country and forgive us as individuals. We realize that our country needs prayer. So, Lord, we lift up America to you. We ask for blessing for our leaders, that they may realize their need for you and your wisdom. Lord, bless America, a new harmony and unity with you and with each other. Lord, stir within us a need to walk in wisdom, integrity, and love toward you and each other, so that America will remain your shining light on the hill. We ask all of these things in the name of your beloved Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rick. And another thing I forgot to mention too, this is a wonderful place to have an event and all that, but it does have to be paid for. So we are selling raffle tickets. You can see Mary Mackler and her fellow Gonzaga Republicans have tickets that, half the proceeds go towards the Republican Liberty Caucus to advertise, to get more people out here, to get behind candidates that actually we do want to see in Olympia or city council or wherever. So go ahead and please buy a ticket, or as many as you can, from Mary. And of course, the other half goes to the winner on the drawing. So I want to make sure that got there. So now, our county chair, we did go ahead and form a committee, and today's our kickoff. Our county chair for Republican Liberty Caucus is Josh McKee. I'm going to have him give the flag salute so that you all know who he is and ask him more about the Republican Liberty Caucus. Come on, Josh. And his company, Atlas Staff, has done a wonderful job. They're the #1 donor at the Spokane County Lincoln Day dinner that we just had, too. So thank you, Josh.
Back of the room is a flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Josh. So without further ado, I'm going to have our next speaker is going to be Sandi Brendale from Yakima County and also Washington State Chair for the Republican Liberty Caucus. So tell everybody here about the Liberty Caucus and why it's such a wonderful idea, Sandi. Thank you.
What a nice turnout. So good to see you all here. I love seeing familiar faces from other counties that showed up too. Congratulations to you for being so involved. Last July, Pam, Leslie, and I met in Moses Lake with the intent to coordinate Congressional District 4. That was the only plan we had. I showed up. I am the section leader in Yakima County for the John Birch Society, so I kind of came with two ideas. One was Power 500 to educate the people, which is an incredible plan, and that's John Birch. The other was I'd heard of this organization called Republican Liberty Caucus, had not yet checked it out, knew nothing about it. Pam and I had a little discussion with 3 other people. There were only 5 of us. And she said, I've heard of that Republican Liberty Caucus thing too. I said, good, you check that out and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. September 15th, Yakima met and chartered the first Republican Liberty Caucus in the state. And the state had been chartered. There were a lot of errors made because we had very inexperienced people that chartered the state. And we will be correcting those and moving forward from that in April at our state convention, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. When I saw the words Republican Liberty Caucus, I said, if that's not a real top-down organization, I want that. Because doesn't that just say what we want? We have so many people in Yakima that participate who would have never, ever joined a Republican Party. They're so fiercely independent. I mean, we're just a bunch of country folk. We don't like to be told what to do. They join, and then you ask any of them why, the answer is always the same. 2 words. For liberty. Our Republican Party is a little messed up. People don't trust it. They're not happy with it. There were so many things that took place in the last election that just made a lot of people step back. Now that's not so very unusual, because a lot of people get behind an issue or a candidate and they're just in there, and then if they don't win, they fade away. With this year, I just kept badgering people. Don't go away. Don't go. We need you. We need you. We need you people that want liberty, that think the Constitution still means something, that are so dismayed every time there's another infringement on the rights that are protected by that Bill of Rights. It came pretty close with House Bill 1588, and when you have a Republican as a key sponsor, that's pretty disturbing. It's very disturbing. I'd like to say to all the grassroots that worked so hard and got Marie Walsh to take her name off of that thing. The grassroots are more together than they have ever been in the state of Washington. We are having a huge effect. We're not all that organized. We have a few counties that have done an incredible job of flipping to liberty leadership in their party. A few. And they asked me, well, why would we want to do the Republican Liberty Caucus? It's the only organization where you are actually a Republican. You commit to being a Republican. You have to do that. But you're working within the party to change the leadership to liberty leadership. You're working within the party to support principal candidates like Matt Shea, David Taylor, Jason Overstreet, Elizabeth Scott. There are a few others that would be what I call the first tier liberty level, the Freedom Agenda team. There are other ones coming along. How much influence do we have with these new candidates we're trying to bring up or changing the ones in there? We have some have more than others, but how much more can we have when we are organized county by county across the state, state by state across the nation? And that's what we're doing. Prior to the end of the last election, there were fewer than 30 states that were actually chartered with the Republican Liberty Caucus. Seems a little odd since it's been around 21 years. We are not something new. We're just a little unheard of. Not so much in this state anymore. We chartered September 15th, the first county. We have 1/4 of the state's counties already. We have 6 more ready to come in. This is growing by the day. We have new members every day. We're the 3rd largest state in the Republican Liberty Caucus in the nation. We've done a great job, but we need more. I was asked by the Snohomish County Republican Liberty Caucus, can we use your name in a statement to talk to Mike Hope, who hails from their county and was a primary sponsor, one of the 2 primary sponsors of the House Bill 1588 to infringe on our Second Amendment rights. I said, well, I'm in Olympia now. I'll go talk to him. It was the final week to pass bills from one side to the other, so nobody was in their office. I left a message. And that was good. Leaving a message from the chairman was good. Having it come from Snohomish County was good. But what if we had such a presence in every county? Now, I don't mean the 10, 20 people that you may have now. I mean, how about one representing every precinct in your county? How many precincts do you have in your county, Rob?
315.
How about 315 members for starters by the next election cycle in 2014? You think you could have an influence in your county if you have that many people or more? King County set the benchmark. They have 2,500 precincts, and they're hoping and working to get 2,500 members by the time we have the next organizational election in 2014 for what's coming up. We need to have the leadership. Now, if I had thousands of people and we were a giant presence. And I walked into someone's office, or whoever the chair is at the time, just happens to be me now. It's a little unusual. It's not, I don't normally wear a crown, but they gave it to me, so I'll carry it around with me. To walk into somebody's office and say, take your name off that or you're done, and know we can do it. We're here to get principled Republicans elected. That's what we're here for. Right now, the entire push I'm putting out is to grow the Republican Liberty Caucus. Also, find good candidates. We have 2 that will be running against incumbents in 2014. We have 2 already. I'm very excited about that. We, of course, have our handful of excellent ones already, which we want to get behind. And by getting behind, I mean we show up and we bang on doors during the primary summer, because that will make or break a campaign. We actually show up and work. Maybe bring some items, have an auction, raise them some money. But we don't just pat them on the back and say, good for you, have fun. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to work hard. People say, well, what do I get for my $45? $45 to join. You get the opportunity to work even harder than you are now. That's what you get. You get the opportunity to join your neighbors and friends and people across the entire nation in an organized manner and work for liberty. I was at the Lewis and Clark Tea Party function night before last. It's by far the most one I've worked for. Those people were so amazing. That's because their leader is just on fire. He's so much fun. He's so directed. He paints the best word pictures I've ever heard. And you're just sitting here listening to him and cheering. That one meeting, that Tea Party meeting, we're going to get 2 chartered counties out of it. So we're not in this alone. We're working with other organizations. But we're the only one that's a recognized group within the Republican Party. And they don't want to recognize us. They really don't. But they're finding little option. Some of it's a little negative recognition, and then if you follow some of the Facebook stuff from Yakima, I don't know what I'm talking about. If you don't, well, I'm going to share it now. It's a little involved. But they don't like us because we're effective. Yakima's been promising for 5 years to have PCO training. We've been around since September. We've got it scheduled. We're an activist organization. We do not meet, eat, and retreat. We have plans, we have events, we have action, we work. And that's what's going to make the difference. And most of us spend some time on our knees, and that helps. That's right. It's huge. I would not be here. Would not be here otherwise. For 20 years, I've been an activist. Now one of the things I hear is why we can't elect people like Clint Didier. Our chairman says it's because of the 1996 Ellen Craswell campaign. What? This doesn't make any sense. Oh, it's because of what these people, it's because of what you people did during that campaign. I still don't know what we did. I know in Yakima County we had to vote for her, so some of us did a really great job. Actually, if you want to go back to when did the split, when did the Republican Party stop working for their candidate if it wasn't the candidate that the elite established leadership wanted? 1964. If I had a prize, you'd get it. Because the people wanted Barry Goldwater. The establishment wanted Rockefeller. No brainer on that, right? No brainer. And Rockefeller maybe would have been elected. Maybe we would have had a Republican. I say, so what? Yeah. We'd have just got where we are now a little quicker, as far as I'm concerned. So we had a split. The party would not back Goldwater. Do not expect them right now to back people because they're good principal candidates. But in 2014, when we flipped the leadership of the party itself in Washington State, we will have better candidates. In fact, maybe we'll be able to say, let's put a little less time into these state group candidates and let's go get the ones that are at the local districts. There's some good ones out there. They get nothing. They get no backing, they get no people, they get nothing. We're going to give them something. Amen. We're going to show up and we're going to work. And I'm even willing to say, let's show up and work with some of these candidates that would not get an RLC endorsement, but they're pretty doggone good. They're just not, well, we got one running, I'm not going to use a name. She's moving from her House position to a Senate position. She wants to run. And she didn't put her name on not one Freedom Agenda bill. I don't think she's RLC endorsable myself, and I don't know if we're going to agree that's a benchmark, but it certainly should be. When Matt Shea and his team put together a bill, and you don't put your name on it, what is wrong with you? You're listening to the wrong people. That's what's wrong with you. You're more afraid of the elite establishment Republicans than you are the grassroots, and we need to change that. So that fear needs to switch, and we have an excellent start on it. We have such a great start on it. That's why we're getting nasty letters written about us in Yakima, because we're effective, and we're not going away. Rumors are they got big plans to stop us. And the first time I heard that, I had two words: bring it. What are they going to do? Bring money and advertise against us? Who watches that anyway? Who reads the newspaper? Who listens anymore? We can kill them on the social networking. If you're not into that, start thinking about it, because it's effective when we have a big voice. We have a page in Yakima. It's only 120 some people that have hit the like button and participate on that page. But the day we put the nasty letter on there, within 48 hours, over 1,000 people had read that letter. That's a big deal. We need to use that. You have got in this room such a well-rounded age group. And for you that have been at this a few years, I've been at it 20, my mentor has been at it 50. So I'm kind of a youngster by those terms. But then I look at Pam Leslie and I think I could be her mother. And I appreciate that, by the way. For those of you that have been at this for a while, you got some work to do. You got some young people that need to learn how to do stuff. You got young people that have so much passion, that are willing to go out there and work their fannies off to get someone elected, but they really don't know what to do yet. They don't know how to organize. They're not too sure what's going on. They just know something's going on and they want to be a part of it. They like to be the leaders, but they need to be trained. So you that are sitting in this room that have been at this for years, look at the opportunity you have. Look around you, look at these young people. Go talk to them and say, welcome aboard. We're going to work with you. We're going to help you. We're going to get you trained. We're going to send you out and work with them. Make it work. Because I guarantee you, the GOP is not going to make it work. Not at that level. They're just still too stuck on themselves and the crowd they've been used to working with to put that time and energy into the young people. So we have to do it. It's a lot of fun. It's really fun. I'm 10 years younger than I was 6 months ago. Because these young people drive you. They excite you. They make you do things you haven't done for years because they're doing it. Our Yakima County chairman was so aggravated over something at our last meeting. She brought a computer and her speakers, and what did she do? She started playing the Eye of the Tiger. That's how she started the meeting. And we're all just kind of booking into that thing. People are looking at me. I said, I can do that too. It's just been a while. Just been a while. So get excited. There's computers there. I assume they can sign you up on the spot. There are these brochures over there. You can sign up on the brochure and write a check if you prefer, because all the information I need is on here. There are some bumper stickers. There are some pins. I'm asking for $1 for a bumper sticker and 50 cents for a pin because I got to take them back and put them in the coffers of Yakima's stash. We are having a convention, the first multi-county state convention in Yakima. The actual big day is April 27th. April 26th is our Liberty on the Rocks event. I think you guys know a little bit about the Liberty on the Rocks, don't you? Spokane's got a dynamite group. We have a great group. We may have some items to auction that night. We will have appetizers, and it's, of course, you're on your own for your drinks. The next morning we start the convention. And yeah, we're going to do that boring bylaws thing. We've got to do that. So we'll get through that, we'll get done with that, and then we're going to elect officers. We're also going to elect a board. This year, and it's a 2-year board, just to let you know if you're interested in that or you know someone who is. I am looking for board members who understand what we're doing right now is growth. I'm looking for board members. We're hoping to get them kind of regionally located so they're all in an area where we're not mandating that, but we're hoping it comes out that way, who are willing to sit down, get some training, and go into their region, get the counties that aren't chartered up, help them out, and get the ones that are chartered up some more members. Help them get some events going for 12 months. That's what I'm expecting from board members. A lot of hard work. In fact, I'd rather be short on board members than have 3 that say, yeah, let's go do it, and 2 that just are board members. So that's what I'm looking for. I can't mandate it, but I can let you know that's what I'm expecting. And then Sunday of the convention, we will have Pastor Matt Dubin speaking on repatriating the church. Yeah. He's a great worldview pastor. And he'll bring it on. He'll bring it really well. Then we're going to have Robin Corner, who is a blue Republican. Used to be a Democrat. It'll be a little different twist. Very entertaining. He's very knowledgeable. But Saturday night, we have Jordan Page. So Saturday night, Jordan Page. We're charging $85 for this convention, which is 4 full meals and Jordan Page. And if any of you have some money that you don't really know what to do with, we are looking for sponsors that will help us pay for Jordan Page. Because we didn't build in enough money to do that. We knew we could get some help. We're asking each county to come with an auction item worth at least $100, and we will get plenty of money taken care of that way. Because I wanted people to be able to afford to come. And $85 4 meals is pretty affordable. The rooms are at Howard Johnson until the 12th. They're holding those, and they will be $65 a night, awfully good price. Friday, the 12th of April is the cutoff day for the early registration price. After that, it goes up to $105. And if you wait till you're at the door, it'll be $125 because it's so frustrating to not be able to get everything done in advance. So that's how we're doing it. It's only $85 between now and then. In Yakima, we're having Chris Ann Hall come in May. I don't know if any of you know who she is, but I'll give you a little bit. She was a prosecuting attorney. She started teaching the Constitution to Tea Party folks, and she got fired. So she's taken her little show on the road. She's very young. She speaks in a way where you can understand every word she says. There's no legalese involved. Every time I see a clip of her, I want to stand up and applaud my computer. She's amazing. She takes on short journeys. She takes her 8-year-old along with her, does his homeschooling on the road, long journeys. She leaves him home with daddy. She's a pastor's wife, and this is her mission and her ministry. And I don't know how many of you know Danny Bolliard. She was she was on the state committee, she was a state executive board member. She was Grant County's chairman. She was Grant County's state committee woman. Senator Harold Hochstadter actually recruited her to be a PCO, and June 22nd she will be in Yakima doing a expanded PCO training. It's really going to be expanded to cover people that just want to go out and know how to get their neighbors involved. So we're making it really is an RLC type of training. But it will be an excellent training for PCOs as well. And that's what's going on right now, besides the fact that we've got all these counties coming on board. It's so exciting. So the 2014 goal is to have every county have Liberty officers, and to have the state have a Liberty State Executive Board. So they start working with us instead of looking down on us. The grassroots. We are the starting point. The PCOs, the first level of elected officials. We're really important people. We're the individuals that make up America. We're the individuals that want America back. So if you haven't joined us, join us today, right over there. Get involved with the Spokane County Republican Liberty Caucus. You guys already have some great wells to redig. So you've got a good start. Just had a bump along the road, and now you're going to overcome that bump, and you're going to become the leaders once again in this county. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. The Republican Liberty Caucus does give us legitimacy from the Republican Party. You know, we can't be treated, like we're people that are in there that are, just happen to walk in without a ticket or anything. We actually will become the party if we can get enough numbers. It's within our reach to be able to do this. And we have leadership from Sandi, Brendale, and many others, and we need that kind of leadership. But we also need the numbers and to get that legitimacy. So it'd be nice to have them come to us, elected representatives, saying, "What can we do for you?" Instead of us always going to Olympia, "What can you do for us?" It's nice to be on the other end of that. So that's what's kind of nice about being treasurer. I used to have to go to a lot of bankers and ask for money all the time. And now I'm on the other side of the desk, got bankers coming to me, asking me to invest in their banks, and it really gives you a lot of freedom to be able to sit back and enjoy that. That's one of the highlights of my job. But, I also look forward to being a mentor like Jim Robinson and like Laurel Durkee and so many other unsung heroes that are out here today. I also forgot to mention Liberty on the Rocks, too. I've had a lot of enjoyment going to Liberty on the Rocks. They've got a page on Facebook they'll announce when they meet. And it's just a good brainstorming place to talk with other people about liberty, to have good speakers come in. Another good place is Spokane County Constitutional Republicans. And they meet out at Sherry's the last Monday evening of every month. Sherry's on Sullivan out here. That's another good place to have speakers. And Ellie Lindstrom has information on that. Back there in that corner. So it's about activism, In fact, I was thinking if a precinct leader just got 5 people in his precinct to donate $10 a month, that pays for GMO corn chips and taco sauce and things we don't need. But, that'd be $120, a precinct. And you figure 300 precincts, 90% of the precincts in Spokane County, that'd be $180,000 a year we could collect to go to wonderful candidates like Matt Shea, like Ed Pace, like Brian Dansel. That makes a big difference. And it's not just the volume of money, it's how you spend your money. I think we've got the ingenuity, but we have to have some money. It takes money to make money. It takes money to kind of get up there. But that's a very simple thing. A precinct, there's 1,000, 1,500 people per precinct. If we just find 5 other liberty activists in there, and they're there, we just have to go out and look for them, then that would work too. So it's about activism, but it's also about education. And one place I've learned a lot is through the John Birch Society. So speaking next will be Pam Leslie, and she gets to speak about the Power of 500 and the John Birch Society. And is the PowerPoint ready, Julian?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So from Okanogan County, here's Pam Leslie.
thank you all. I'll have to get up here and warm up, freezing down there. So, yes, I'm Pamela from Okanogan County, and we do have an RLC. And if you know anything about our Okanogan County, we really don't need the RLC, I guess you would say. We have a fantastic county. At the state convention, we took 100% Ron Paul delegates. We, the RLC and our county party, work hand in hand. We all absolutely love our county chair. Her name's Terry Michelin. We don't believe that every Republican is a good Republican. We worked very hard to get rid of 2 Republican county commissioners this last election, one of which is now running for a state position, or being, it's actually not running, it's a governor appointment, and we're working very hard to oppose that. So we have an outstanding county where the RLC, even though we really have everything together, we've really decided that this is something we needed to do and get on board with. So this PowerPoint was something that I put together the night before we had our last get-together in Yakima County. So for some of you, this is going to be a repeat, and I'm sorry for those of you that were there. But for the rest of you, this will give you an idea of where we're going, our mentality in Okanogan County, and the messaging that we bring to the table versus the GOP. So in order to get your charter going, I just went through the basic steps, which you guys have already done, correct? Okay, you've got your 10 people. You just need live bodies. You know, for those of you that are in other counties, it can be anybody, family. We needed 10 people, and we had a tough time in Okanogan County getting that. So what did I do? My brother, he's in the military. He has an Okanogan County address, even though he's stationed in California. And guess who became an RLC member? Clint. So that's all you need. You've got to get 10 people. We've got other people that are affiliated with us, that are not paid, that are associate, that are part of our leadership, that have great spheres of influence both within the county, the legislature, and the state, but they are not official members. But we have a big group, but we have a core 10 that are paid right now. So, moving along, since this is something that you guys already been through, this is going to be kind of dated because this was done a couple months ago. Next slide. So, paying the RLC dues, the military gets a cheaper deal. So, and couples. So that was part of my strategy too. My brother only had to pay $30 since he was military, and my husband, who absolutely despises politics, he got signed up as an RLC member as well since it was a cheaper deal, and was also part of that 10 people. So, moving along. And you can do this online for those of you that are here. Obviously, we want you to get signed up at the table. But if you go online, you go to rlc.org, there's a little tab on the right-hand side on the banner that says Join Us. Click on that, and it'll walk you through the steps. Oh, RLC Law. Yeah. Okay, so if you want more information on how to get chartered, there's a chartering guide on the website, which has all the information that you will need. But for most of you, this is already a done deal. Okay, so let's see here. 10 paid members, you need to elect your chairman, secretary, treasurer, you have your board, and the adoption of your bylaws. We made it easy. We just adopted the current bylaws that National has. We're going to go through this again, but again, we're just focused on growth and getting the momentum going. Okay, banking, this is kind of more detailed. We can go ahead and skip this. So strategy, this is probably, we're getting into the good stuff now. So make an individualized plan. In Okanogan County, we have a core group of people that kind of sits around a dinner table and says, this is what's going to happen in our county. And this is what needs to happen in every county. The ones that we've seen be successful, Franklin County, this is what goes on. We strategize, and it's a continuous process where these are the people we need to get rid of. These are the people we think would be great. Let's recruit them. We've done this for our county commissioners. Our next election cycle, we've already got someone in mind. PUD positions, PUD commissioners. We got someone in. Now we've got another person we want to bring in. Then we'll have 2 out of the 3 spots. We'll have the majority. We're constantly putting these people in that we want, and then looking forward to say, okay, who's going to be next? Who's going to fill these slots? We have 103 positions open in Okanogan County this year, from cemetery district all the way up to Senate. We look at those 103 positions and say, and obviously we're not going to get them all, but what are the ones that we can target? What are the precincts? What are the ones that we know we have good people in, and we can slide them in there? So this is really what everyone needs to do. And what are the priorities in your county? You know, each county has a different custom and culture. Obviously, Okanogan County is very different than King County. Okanogan County is known to be a very libertarian county. We love freedom. We really work hard at what we do. We're very private. You know, one of the things that we are really big on is guns, Agenda 21. Property rights are huge, 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 huge for us, because we live in a county where 85% of our property is owned by a government agency. So that presents a whole other list of problems. But for everyone, it's going to be different. So you need to focus on your priorities in your county. So how can you be most effective? Don't shoot at everything that moves. All of us know that there's so many things out there, it's overwhelming. But what are the things that you need to do within your own county, within your own communities to be effective? Because winning brings momentum, success brings momentum, and it brings more people to you. So network. What are the other groups that you can get involved with? Myself. So I've got the Republican Party, I've got RLC, I've got Tea Party. Coalition for Property Rights, that's the equivalent paper in Okanogan County. I just recently found out that we have our own assembly group in our county, Whitestone Assembly, which I didn't even know existed. So tomorrow, 1 o'clock, I get to go visit with them and see what we can do to bring these people into what we're doing. So do what you can, use Facebook, use social networking sites. In Okanogan County, those are so effective because we're kind of out in no man's land. So it's best to go do face-to-face with our folks. But network. Plan for the long term. Again, we do a lot of dinner table planning, strategy. This needs to happen within every group. We do this within the Tea Party, we do this within the Republican Party. We do this within the RLC, obviously. And know the rules. That's one of the big things that really we focus on in our county is Robert's Rules of Order. This is how I got to know Robb and John Christina I kind of took over the Ron Paul's county coordinator position for Okanogan County in 2008. And if you look what happened in 2008 and things that have happened subsequently, we have to know the rules. That's been our Achilles heel in many ways. Okay, so here's a little bit of an example of what we've done in Okanogan County. So, we've done this, there's different categories, level 1 action, level 2 action. Can you make that a little bit more clear? It's kind of blurry. Is that look blurry to anybody else? Okay, so county budget. Level 1 action, require information on debt burden for every district, sub-district. We've got a guy in our LLC group, he's my vice chair, his name is Jim Miller. He has a big, I don't know what his position is in Boeing, but he's a guy who runs numbers. He's an executive, and so he's taken this project on for us, where he's taken the debt burden on within every district and sub-district to see exactly where we are in the county and what we're going to face in the next few years. That's a huge project, and luckily we've got a guy who's willing to take that on. So level 2 action, prepare presentation for county commissioners forecasting future debt, including such variables as inflation, interest, etc. So Jim is primarily doing this. We're helping him. Again, our people within our county are great. Our Leah McCormick, who is our county treasurer, and all the people at the county courthouse have been really good as far as assisting us in this project. So the next one, upcoming races. Level 1 action, review list of 103 positions open for 2013. Brainstorm possible candidates. Level 2, identify and vet potential candidates. We vet everything. The beauty about Okanogan County, everything comes from the grassroots. Our county chair puts everything out for the PCOs to decide upon. There's no top-down in Okanogan County. So even with the positions where the Republican Party endorses, they get our platform and they have to go through every single piece of that and say, do you agree, disagree, and then you have to write why you don't agree. So for us, vetting is very important because, again, we don't believe that every Republican is a good Republican. A good Republican is one that supports our platform and the Constitution. So if you don't buy into that, you don't get our support. So, Second Amendment, Level 1 action. Use the RLC to promote Sheriff's Department Citizens Firearm Academy. Level 2, encourage others to get or renew concealed weapons permit, if they so desire. So, like I said, this was stated. We do have an event scheduled on April 20th where we can have the Sheriff's Department. We're starting with the ladies class. So from 3 to 6 on April 20th, a bunch of us ladies are going to get together and have a little dinner and firearms instruction from one of the sheriff's deputies and one of the OMAC Police Department guys. So, a fun thing. Okay, next thing, PCO recruitment, level 1 action. Tea Party chairman, her name is Mary McClanahan. She's 87 years old, and she is the most amazing woman. We have just such a wealth of great people in Okanogan County, but she has agreed to teach the RLC members how to properly canvass a precinct. Now, granted, we have people within our own group that can do that, but we want to network, right? We want to bring in people from other organizations and partner with them. So we got a hold of Marion and said, hey, could you do this for us? Because we want her to buy into what we're doing and vice versa. And granted, we all get along, but this is one of our strategies, network strategies. So level 2, we use VoterVault and other resources to identify like-minded Republicans. Robert's Rules of Order, we are big on personal responsibility in Okanogan County, and so you need to do the work. That also is involved with your Robert's Rules of Order. We live in a county where we are so far, as far as spread out. We don't have a major city center like you guys do here in Spokane. So a lot of things have to be done on your own, on the phone, on the computer if you have one. And sometimes you just need to get it done by yourself, without a group. So, level 2 action, arrange Robert Rules of Order and practice a session with John. He's another one with our group who has the knowledge that he's willing to share with us as well. So education, this is kind of another thing we do in hand with the Tea Party. Monthly book chosen by the group. February was the 5,000-Year Leap. I'm sure many of you have read that book. And then March, we did the law. Level 2 action, arrange movie nights. Again, we have a big county with everyone spread out, so we have to arrange a couple different venues in order to meet everyone's needs. Since that time, we do have a couple places arranged and a movie, and I can't remember which one we're going to start off with, but we're focusing quite a bit on Agenda 21. That's our big thing. So, strategy. Why do we want to use this two-pronged approach? So we talked about John Birch Society, and now we've got the RLC. So this was kind of a visual that I put together so people could see really, because I'm a very visual person, how this all works together. So we have the JBS, and the purpose of the JBS is to educate voters. We want to use the tools, we want to use the publications to basically fill in the gaps that our public school system doesn't meet. And then groom our future statesmen and women. So we want these people, we want to create a pool of educated, thoughtful, constitutional, principled people that not only will eventually run for office, but that group of people will also be the ones who vote for those people running for office. So it's a cycle that we're creating. So that's, for us, this is why we need that two-pronged approach. So we're going to educate, we're going to vet, promote, and then we're going to have people to vote for them. So it's a pretty simple, just a cycle that we're going to create. So we've got the education piece and the action. So the JBS is your action arm, RLC, or JBS is your education arm, RLC is your action arm. Okay, so the ultimate goal, bringing the GOP back to its constitutional roots. So, this was my advice when I was in Yakima. It's time to move on. Quit worrying about the rest of the party. Play the game. Once you get the numbers, you will win. Okay, in 2008, in Okanogan County, we had 7 Ron Paul delegates out of 13. Following election cycle, we got them all. It's a numbers game. Be a better player. Don't take it personally. Learn from your mistakes. Stop reliving the injustices of the past. When I was at the Washington GOP reorg meeting earlier this spring, we had a gentleman sit down and start going on and on about all the terrible things that happened to the Ron Paul people. And even for me, it was so painful. It was just a turn-off. And that is what gives us a bad rap. So it's a new day. It's a fresh start. So we've got to get beyond that. Don't take yourself so seriously. Listen more, talk less, and be humble. Pick your battles. We are the party. We're not separate from the party. We are the party. So, optimism is the ability to focus on where we're going, not where we're coming from. Simon Sinek, I don't know if anybody has read his work, he's got a lot of business strategy that I included in this PowerPoint. How great leaders inspire action. This is a business model that I used for the RLC movement on why principle and not party will save the Republicans. And the reason why I did this is because this is the argument that I hear a lot, that, you know, this is the division within us, within this party. And so I wanted to make an argument against that, and how not only on an emotional level it doesn't work, but on a practical level it does not work. Principle will always win every time. So if you start with the why is the name of the book that Simon Sinek wrote. And if you haven't read it, I think it would be valuable for everyone to do so. So, first we need to ask clarifying questions. How do we want to think, act, and communicate? What is our purpose? What is our cause? What is our belief? Why does our organization exist? Why do we do this day in and day out? Why do we get up in the morning, and why should anyone care? When you look at the Republican Party, and I'm a newbie, I started in 2008 because of Ron Paul, like many young people. To this day, I don't even know the answer to some of those questions for the Republican Party.
That's right.
Why? What is the message? What is the belief? I know what my county believes, but as an organization, a national organization, I couldn't answer those questions. So, the big question. And think about this as far as a business and marketing strategy. Everyone knows what they do. We all know what we do. We go out. I'm a PCO. I go down and cast my vote at the local, and then I go to the county, and then I go to the state if I get voted in, and I go through the process. I show up for meetings 4 times a year, because that's really all we do in Okanogan County now. So I know what the motions are. Some know how they do it. Some know Robert's Rules of Order better than others. Somebody knows the process. I mean, Sandi, she has so much history. She knows the ins and outs of so many things that I can't even imagine. Hopefully one day I'll get there. But few know why they do what they do. So what is our why? So if you look at this model, so why being the purpose, what is your cause, what do you believe, how is the process, specific actions taken to realize the why, and what is the result of what you do, the result of your why, the proof. So this, typically most businesses and most movements, go from the what to the why. What we want to do is go from the why out. So by starting with the why, we tap into the limbic brain, which is responsible for all decision making. It has no capacity for language. It is the seat of emotions and gut decisions. So if you look at this picture, our why, our how, our what, and look at this picture, decision making, emotions, rational thinking, okay? This, emotions and decision making, that's the why, that's the gut. And that's what we want to tap into. Our why engages our primal brain, and it's our emotional hot button. Logic does not lead, emotions do. We make all emotional choices and then back them up with logic, reason, data, even in business, and even in politics. Democrats do this really well. Republicans, definitely not so much. So, the Democrats wage political war and recruit using emotions, using social issues, global warming, animal rights, abortion, same-sex marriage, you name it. Right? They push that button. They're constantly pushing that button. Distracting. What does the GOP do? They wouldn't know where to begin. Our leadership is Democrat light. I like that word. But what can the RLC do? We can push that emotional button by leading with our why, based on freedom, faith, and constitutional principles. The very things that many of you in this room are constantly expounding on, leading us. I mean, look at Matt Shea. What's his messaging? That is his messaging. The freedom agenda, they lead with their why all the time. So, using that model, so what? The RLC, well, what do? We support principled Republicans. GOP, they support electable Republicans, marketable Republicans. How? The RLC, we vet and support candidates that share our beliefs. The GOP, as long as you got an R behind your name, you're good to go. So why? RLC, we believe in freedom, faith. We believe in the principles set forth by our founding fathers. That is our why. GOP, it's not clear. There's a huge disparity between what the party does and what they say, what the platform is and what they actually do. Right? So this creates a big problem because that eliminates our ability to trust. But using those models, we're going to create some messaging. Inspiring leaders. Let's go to others. Others being the GOP. So others communicate starting with their products and never get to their mission, their message. Those are our products and services. They're the best on the market and are made with great care. Want to buy one. Inspiring leaders. Inspiring leaders communicate starting with their mission and ending with their products, their message. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo and thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Apple? Dell. Think of it that way. Think about the people who buy the products. Think about the cost. Right? So if you do this in terms of RLC and the GOP, we're Republicans and we're better than the evil Democrats. Want to join us? RLC. In everything we do, we believe in liberty and challenging the current political establishment. The way we challenge the current political establishment is by putting forth a message of limited government, free enterprise, personal responsibility, honest money, and more freedom. We just happen to be part of the Republican Party. Want to join us?
Yes.
Okay? Huge difference in the messaging. People don't buy what we do, they buy why we do it. So we need to be authentic. We need to say and do what we truly believe so we can attract those who share our beliefs, our why. Sandi refers to the remnants. We need to find the remnants. We need to find those with the same heart that we have. Those people that believe like we do. They may not be Republicans, they may not be Democrats, they may not be any party. When we did our Second Amendment rally, I came across all kinds of people who wanted nothing to do with the Republican Party. But the stuff I told them and the things I talked about, I automatically made friends and brought people to, they didn't want to be associated, they weren't going to pay money, but they want to be part of what we're doing. And those are the kind of people that we need to find. If we don't, the public suspects us to be inauthentic liars and lose trust. Okay? GOP's done a really good job of that. We must be clear, simple, and disciplined in our messaging. We must embrace our why, both individually and as a party. We need to walk our talk. That is what's going to separate us from the rest of the Republican Party and allow us to take a leadership position because we are authentic. We believe in our platform. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in liberty. And people can trust that. So everything that we say and do is a symbol of who we are. It is only when we communicate our beliefs authentically that we can attract others to our cause. And from the form the bonds that will empower us to achieve truly great things. If we are honest and we are authentic, even if they don't agree with us, they will respect us. So we need to put forth the messaging that we want the Republican Party to represent, and that is liberty, liberty, liberty. So we need to, as a party, to say and do things we actually believe. So we need to be the ones who lead, and it's time for us to lead. I have learned that a cause must be organic. It is to have an impact. It must belong to those who join the movement and not to those who lead it. We are the grassroots, and that is where the power is. I get asked a lot, you know, how are you really going to do anything? How are you going to take down this monster? And I said, well, the grassroots, we're there to chip away at the foundation. And when we chip away long enough, it will all come crashing down, and we will be there to rebuild. So there are leaders and those who lead. We follow those who lead because they inspire those around him or her. We follow those who lead because we want to, not because we have to. We follow those who lead for ourselves because we share the same belief. Martin Luther King Jr. I believe, I have a dream, not I have a 21-point plan. He's pushing that emotional hot button. He's inspiring us. Why versus what? Ron Paul. This is where some of us are even here. Limited constitutional government, free markets, honest money. Always voted on principle based on the Constitution. Okay? The epitome of trust. We don't have to question Ron Paul's motivations or what he's going to do. He's going to vote according to the Constitution every single time. Our Freedom Agenda team! Our mission is to restore a constitutional state of Washington based on the Republican form of guaranteed under Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution of the United States, so that our children and grandchildren can live in peace and prosperity and freedom. Here are men that walk their talk, right? They are men who believe in their oath of office. We follow these men because they inspire us. We follow them because we want to, not because we have to. We follow them not because they're Republicans, because they are the guys who are leading the charge and following the Constitution. They are authentic. We can trust them. We know how they're going to vote every time. My son did probably first week of March, I believe, he was a page. Our rep, Joel Kretsch, was nice enough to sponsor my son. And it's interesting, like I said, we don't talk politics in my house because my husband despises it with passion. So my son went into this fresh, without any kind of preconceived notion, not really knowing anybody. And so it was very interesting, him coming home and talking about things he observed, because he was watching everybody when he spent his time on the floor. And one of the things that he came home and said was, Mom, the best one is Matt Shea. He votes no on everything. It was pretty cute. And he watches and observes, and it was very interesting some of the things he came home with. But as far as Matt Shea, he didn't know who he was when he showed up to be a page, but now Matt Shea's like the top of, he now wants to run for office and be a rep. So, can the RLC lead with our lie? Can you find people who believe what you believe? Yes. We're around them every day. We're friends with them. We network with them. You know, they're all over the place. We just have to engage them. You know, it used to be a time where we were afraid to talk about what we believed in because we were the minority, we were the crazy ones, we were the radical ones, and now we're all radical. Every time you turn around, you're talking to someone who believes like you do. The worse it gets, the better it gets, right? So we're in a state where everyone's wondering what the heck is going on and realizing what a sad state of affairs that we're in. And so they're more open to what we have to say. How can we scale this to a political movement? We must say and do what we truly believe. We must walk our talk. Every decision we make in our lives or as an organization is a piece of communication, a symbol of who we are and what we believe. That is why authenticity matters. We represent the group. We need to be the ones to go out there and bring the message and do it in a way that is honorable, in a way that has integrity, and in a way that we stand head and shoulders above those other people who are giving out the message that we don't want. Others look for these symbols to know what we believe and if we can be trusted. Like I said, if we are authentic, if we stand by our beliefs, they may not agree with us, but they will respect us. Look at our Freedom Agenda team. Look what they've been able to accomplish. You know, they are the epitome of all of this. So be the change. RLC has a why. And everything we do, we believe in liberty and challenging the current political establishment. The way we challenge the current political establishment is by putting forth a message of limited government, free enterprise, personal responsibility, honest money, and more freedom. We just happen to be a part of the Republican Party. Our why is authentic. Our why instills trust. Our why is inspiring. Join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Is Morgan Sanders here? Or do you have to leave? Okay. Morgan Sanders was here a little bit earlier, but he came to my office several months ago, and he, as treasurer, I get a lot of people are talking about their property taxes, but he was sick for a little while, and he got behind his property taxes. And he said, I would just like to get caught up on them, but state law only allows you to pay a full year at a time. Not only that, the third month that you're late, they throw 3% on top of the 12% penalty. The ninth month, they throw 8% on top of the 12% penalty. And that was really usurious. That was, 23% in 1 year. So part of Matt Shea's freedom agenda was to introduce a bill that would eliminate the major penalties and also allow partial payments. And House Bill 1430 kind of got foundered, but because of Matt's leadership, because he's able to reach out to the other side, he was able to put an amendment on top of another bill that got rid of the 3% and the 8%. So it won't have those, and it passed 98-0 in the House. Now the Senate has it, but that's a big thing. That will save $30 million to the poorest of the poor in this state. So on Olympia this year is Matt Shea.
How's everybody doing? Great. You love freedom? Yeah. All right. If you have not done so yet, please, I am a member, not just a spokesman, okay, for the RLC. Please go sign up. And I got to tell you, I was really heartened to see this Defend Liberty sticker. This is the new Gadsden flag of our time. I love this symbol. So take a look at that on the back table as well. I want to start by telling you about my favorite headline of the session. Democrat leadership kills drone bill for corporate profits. Yeah. My favorite headline of the session. That's how we're changing the narrative. Can you imagine that? The media actually printed that, Seattle Times, and other papers. It's pretty incredible. I also want to highlight something else that I saw in a headline, and that was that the RNC had declared war on the conservative right. And when somebody pointed out that, well, the Tea Party folks, Liberty folks, they're just following the Republican platform, apparently they figured out they declared war on their own Republican platform. And I think that that highlights where we're at in this country. People do not know what they believe and why they believe it, especially the establishment. Before I begin tonight, I start every speech by this. You're probably sick and tired of me saying it, but our hope is not in man. Our hope is in Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. So, it's great to be, though, with you radicals tonight. And this afternoon, I should say. And I want to tell you something that happens kind of inside baseball in Olympia. When I go into leadership meetings now, and I talk to leadership, they always ask me, what does the grassroots think, Matt? Woo! Woo! Yeah! Every vote. Yeah! That's the power of the grassroots. That's the power of the Liberty Caucus. It's pretty incredible that we've come that far. And I want to honor two people tonight that are my favorite radicals, if I may. One of them is here from Idaho, and I hope she takes the Liberty Caucus to northern Idaho when we get one there as well. But she was just a Tea Party grandma when David Letterman brought her on his show, and he was going to pick on her, and she destroyed him on national television. Let's give a round of applause to Pam Stout. Pam, please stand up. The other person I want to honor tonight, or this afternoon, has been fighting behind the scenes, really, but we really click on a lot of issues. We agree on a lot of issues, and that's why we've become fast friends. And that's somebody running for office who is already a county commissioner, and that's my good friend Brian Danzel. Brian, if you want to raise your hand, let's give him a round of applause. Well, I wasn't depressed this last election by the results. I wasn't depressed by those results. What really depressed me was knowing that we didn't have the will or the energy as a culture and as a people to do the right thing. That's what depressed me. People wonder why I have my hair cut so short all the time. Somebody said, "Did you re-enlist, Matt?" I have my hair cut this short to remind me constantly, we are in a war. We are in a war for the heart and soul of America.
Yes, indeed.
And we have to remember that. So, what do we do now? Well, the first thing is we pray for revival and repentance if we're Christians, right? That's the very first step. Well, that's nice and preachy, Matt. What else do we do? Well, we prepare our horse for battle, because the battle is the Lord's. Nice and preachy again, Matt. What do? Let me break it down to you in three things. And I did not talk to Pam before I wrote this. But the very first thing is do what we say we believe. We don't just talk about it, we do it. People don't trust the Republican Party right now because we're saying one thing and doing another. Especially leadership. The second thing is quit going to the government for our needs. Now I want to break that down for you a little bit here in a minute, but raise your hand if you would be willing to give up your Social Security. Now, just a year ago, a quarter of the hands would have gone up. That's the message of the liberty movement permeating the culture. The third thing is, do not owe anyone anything. How about that for a change for the federal government instead of printing money, getting into debt, buying, getting ourselves into debt, buying all this stuff from China? How about that? Those are three things that we need to do. Do what we say we believe, quit going to the government for our needs, and don't owe anyone anything. Pretty simple principles. Are we doing that right now? So, unfortunately, that isn't the current direction of the leadership and the establishment of the Republican Party. In fact, in the wake of the last election, inevitably there were some that called on a more moderate approach to matters of principle. They said we needed to change with the demographics of the country, especially our youth, or we would be relegated to obscurity. Don't mind the fact that these same people that denigrated, that ridiculed, those same people that marginalized, the same demographic that they so desperately seek, the youth. I remember in 2008, when people raised their hands about how many people were under the age of 40, it was well over 2/3 of the room at the county convention. Where are those young people today? They don't trust the Republican Party. There's a few here. They don't trust the Republican Party by and large. And that's why we need the Republican Liberty Caucus, to get them back. And I also want to talk to you about a couple issues that for some reason seem to me to be simple. Why don't we legalize industrial hemp in the state of Washington? We used to be one of the largest producers in the entire country. It would bring thousands of jobs to this state. But it wasn't a priority. What about constitutional use of drones? Let me ask you a question. How many of you think that there should be a search warrant before they use a drone to come over your property? Raise your hand. Why is that such a mystery to the establishment leadership? Most of the public believes that. In fact, all the newspapers over there, when they realized it was Matt, Shea, Jason Overstreet, and Dave Taylor on the bill, said, wait a minute, they looked at it again. In fact, they refused to print for a couple days until they got it all sorted out. Because this was playing to the base, not only in eastern Washington, where the Department of Ecology wants to have drones to fly over your property, but also in downtown Seattle. We had Democrat sponsors on that bill, bipartisan bill, and it didn't move anywhere. And I also want to highlight one other thing, Medicaid expansion. We're going to be talking about that in the next couple of weeks. How many of you want to see Medicaid expanded? Raise your hand. Okay, then why do we have anybody voting for that? And oh, by the way, our current budget that we're talking about right now would expand Medicaid and expand money that would fund Planned Parenthood and abortions. Massively. Is it that hard of an issue? But we can't seem to talk about it with leadership. That's why it's time for the Republican Liberty Caucus.
Yes.
And some will even cite Governor Dan Evans' attempt to eject conservatives from the party 40 years ago in Washington State as a seminal moment, as a turning point for the party with the Port Angeles Resolution. You've never heard of it. You know, 4 decades later, we haven't turned a corner. This is what I see in Olympia. Is it safe to be a conservative today? We haven't turned any corner. We're hiding behind the corner. Some people say, well, Matt, your bills don't go anywhere. You're an ineffective legislator. You and Jason and Dave. They never go anywhere. They're just message bills. Well, interesting. I want to give you some facts here. By contrast, the Freedom Agenda is actually the most eminently successful slate of Republican bills in over a decade. $40 bills introduced, 14 hearings, 7 voted out of committee, 6 pending Senate and House floor votes, 4 national and viral news stories, 1 Rules Amendment passed, and oh, by the way, we killed the universal background check bill.
Yes.
That's what success looks like when you don't compromise. We can actually do this. We can make this happen. And I want to tell you a story about the universal background check bill. That thing went viral over the internet on social media. And the morning of the vote, our House leader came to me and he said, I'm thinking of telling one of the members in a swing district to vote yes for this. Because politically it would be the right thing to do. And I asked that leader, I said, let's go pray about it. And so we went in his office, we prayed about it. We prayed for defeat of the bill. I think that's probably the first time that's happened in a long time. Came back out on the floor of the House. I'm sitting there at my desk, and all of a sudden, one of the Democrats comes running across the floor, speaks to my seatmate, and turns to me and says, Matt, the Democrats say if we lock up on one of these amendments, the bill's dead. I got up out of my chair, ran over to the leader, and I told him, we lock up, this thing's dead. He said, it's just a trick. I said, well, then send our emissary over to their side of the aisle and tell them we're locked up. Okay, so we sent somebody over there, and it was like a bomb went off on that side of the aisle. They started running up and down the aisle, they were doing vote counts, they did it 4 or 5 times in the next couple hours, and it threw them into a huge confusion. When we stood together on principle, it threw them into confusion.
Wow.
It threw them into confusion. And you know what happened next? Mike Hope, one of the sponsors of that bill, was sitting on the floor, and I walked up to him with the leader, and I said, you know, Mike, you've looked at all these things, you know this is a bad vote, you know it's wrong. Why don't you just vote no? We can put it out on social media, put it all over to the grassroots, everybody will know you did the right thing. And you know what he did? Knowing what had happened in social media with us, on the front end, with all that pressure on the front end, he said, you're right, I won't commit to changing my vote, but I will be the 51st vote, not the deciding vote to pass this thing. And you know what that did? That killed the bill. That is what happened in Olympia that day. The pressure of the grassroots, the specter of a viral story on social media, killed the universal background check bill. The worst defeat. That was the Democrats' worst defeat in a decade. Jamie Peterson is one of the most powerful Democrats there. He's Frank Chop, the Speaker's seatmate. And we killed that bill. Congratulations, that's what success looks like when we stand uncompromisingly on principle. Uncompromisingly. So that's why it's time for the Liberty Caucus. You know, sometimes people say, well, you know, we've won a Attorney General race, Secretary of State race here and there, but those are more based on qualifications than they were necessarily on principle. And when the state did win a majority, though, in the House and Senate here in Washington, 1994 particularly, we could never hold it. Every single time we could never hold that majority. You know what the reason why? Because we compromised. In 1980, the Republicans compromised on extending the sales tax to food and promptly were voted out of office. In the 1990s, the Republicans compromised and ballooned the budget and were promptly voted out of office. It's because our base, dejected, stays at home. Disgusted, stays at home, and the Democrats turn out and we lose. That's what's going on. Pretty simple. And the argument that we need to compromise has failed the party for 40 years, and it continues to fail the party, and it will be the Republican Liberty Caucus that turns that argument on its head and expands freedom, lowers taxes, and limits the size of government. This is also never so true regarding the dreaded social issues. We can't talk about social issues, Matt. And I simply say, I think we have to. I think they are decisive, particularly on the issue of abortion. Why do I say that? Because no matter what you think, social policies have economic consequences. We would be a different country today if we had 50 million more people in the workforce instead of them being aborted and thrown in a trash can. We wouldn't have a Social Security problem. We wouldn't. It would change the scope, literally, of our fiscal structure in this country, just that one issue. And I think it's suicide for our party to alienate and continue to alienate the Republican base for a few votes they think they're going to get from a demographic in downtown Seattle. Here's a case in point. This last election cycle, Robb McKenna sent out a mailer. And actually it was sent out on behalf of him by the mainstream Republicans. And this mailer said, pro-jobs, pro-choice, pro-education. He was then shocked that a group of the base was disenfranchised and stayed home and didn't vote for him. It was the mainstream Republicans in this state that killed Robb McKenna's chances for governor. It was the mainstream Republicans that cost Robb McKenna that election. But they don't want to admit it. But that's exactly what happened. And that, again, is why it's time for the Republican Liberty Caucus. We cannot continue to send candidates and put up candidates who sell their souls for votes in King County. That entire line of thinking is destroying our party. The more the Republican Party fails to provide contrast with the Democrats, the more it compromises on principle, the more this failure is going to continue. And the reason why is because Democrats and independents would rather vote for a principled Democrat than they would for a Republican who doesn't know what they stand for, let alone can articulate it. That's why. If we have people that can articulate freedom, people will vote for them.
That's right.
Doesn't matter what party label, actually. In our case, it's Republican, and we believe in it. And I think this entire crisis of identity has made and bred a lot of distrust at the grassroots level. And again, I think that's why it's time for the Republican Liberty Caucus. Because leadership, I firmly believe, is not about the ability to compromise. It's about the ability not to. It's about the ability to articulate our principles in such a way that we can bring people over to our side. And people say, well, that's Pollyanna, Matt. The freedom agenda isn't Pollyanna. That was in-your-face conservatism,
That's right.
And it's winning.
Yes.
You know, Ronald Reagan was a master of articulating. Some other of our candidates, less so. But when a leader, especially a leader at the state level, comes across as fearful or wishy-washy or afraid to talk about issues, why do we wonder why people don't want to support it? People want to hear the truth. I've been all over the place. I have people asking me some very pointed questions today in our country. Can we save the republic, Matt? Can we pay off the debt even if we turn things around? What's good? Is Cyprus going to happen here? People just want to hear the truth. And again, people say, Matt, that's Pollyanna. Over half the country is lost. Over half the country doesn't want to listen. Over half the country voted for Obama. That's the very essence of the issue. We're not talking to the lost half of the country. We're talking to our own folks who are confused, maybe don't know what's really going on, and who are perpetuating the establishment leadership. That's who we're talking to with the Republican Liberty Caucus. You know, there's a saying about Isaiah's job, preach the truth and the remnant will find you. And sometimes that's hard because we put our lives on the line, we put our office on the line, we get smeared in local newspapers, which are better served at the bottom of a birdcage, probably. But the bottom line is the hardest thing to do in life is the right thing. It's the hardest battle we ever fight. And it's not just in politics, in every area of our lives. So why not do it in politics? Why not stand up there unashamedly and say, I'm pro-life in all circumstances?
Amen.
Why? Well, because the Bible tells me so, number one. And number two, it's the right thing to do. And our founders believed that. And oh, by the way, it's the first thing and the first right enumerated in our Declaration of Independence. Why are we so afraid to do that? You know, I also hear in Olympia sometimes the following, that, you know, the most courageous thing is to challenge the status quo, and I agree with that. In particular, the words, we've always done it that way, trust us, or, Matt, that's not the way things work around here. We hear that all the time in Olympia. In fact, last week when we exposed a clandestine program in the Department of Licensing to issue fake identifications that had been operating without any statutory authority, any rules, anything, for 30 years. It had issued 1,200 licenses as of this year, including 288 to the Central Intelligence Agency here in Washington State, 60% to the federal government, including the Department of Homeland Security. We put ourselves out there on the line, and somebody said, this program's been working okay, just trust us. I said, you know what, we're not going to trust you, because that's why I'm here. We immediately brought that to the media's attention. We then got an amendment tacked onto the bill to give it some actual oversight and transparency, without compromising the safety of undercover officers, but giving it transparency and oversight so that program would actually have some light show on it for the first time in 30 years. Now, how many of you think that there should be oversight on a program like that? Raise your hand. Here's the other part of it that makes it interesting. Some of those fake licenses were issued to foreign governments. One of which was the Canadian government, apparently. We don't even know yet for sure. We haven't even had this confirmed yet for sure. This is just from face-to-face with a Department of Licensing liaison. Issued to the Canadian government, to the RCMP, to operate inside the United States of America. A foreign government, a foreign police force operating on U.S. soil. Not conspiracy. Not conspiracy. Fact. And you know what's interesting now, too? the folks who said, oh, you guys are a bunch of black helicopter guys, we said, well, actually, they have drone black helicopters now that are 4 inches long. They just field tested in Afghanistan with a camera on the front of it. You can't really say that anymore. And it's funny, it's turning now. All of these things that were poo-pooed, all of these things that were said, you guys are just blowing smoke, it is now coming to pass. It'll never happen. They will never seize anywhere in the world someone's bank account. That is just, you're just scaring people. You're scaring people. And look what happened. Right now we have an opportunity. People are listening to us because we were right. We were right all along, and people are listening to us. And so I also want to say to some folks might be on the fence that might be here today that now's the time for choosing sides. We can fight, we choose to fight with every last ounce of courage we have, or we can relegate our posterity to the chains of slavery and tyranny. That's the choice that we have today. But you know what? I'm tired of losing, aren't you?
Yes.
Aren't you?
Yes.
Aren't you?
Yes.
I'm tired of the Republican establishment leadership compromising this party into the ground. Aren't you?
Yes.
That's why it's time for the Republican Liberty Caucus. I mean, imagine a state of Washington where we actually had a balanced budget amendment. How about that? Or imagine a state of Washington where we make the 2/3 requirement to raise taxes permanent in the state constitution. Or imagine a state of Washington where we're so fiscally sound we don't need to take federal money and create more debt at the federal level. Imagine a state of Washington where we didn't have a death tax. Imagine a state of Washington where you had a lower sales tax. Imagine a state of Washington where we stopped all of these agencies and their rulemaking in their tracks and we actually started repealing rules and laws. Imagine a state of Washington where we protected private property. Imagine a state of Washington where we opted out of Obamacare. Imagine a state of Washington where we opted out of cap and trade. Imagine a state of Washington, and where is Judy Crowder? Imagine a state of Washington where we had sound and honest money. Imagine a state of Washington where we ceased completely, and this is to the tune of $194 million, by the way, ceased completely taxpayer funding of abortion. Imagine a state of Washington where we had true firearms freedom, where wherever you stood didn't determine what you could carry. Imagine a state of Washington where we had secure elections and you actually had to produce an identification with a birth certificate when you voted. Imagine a state of Washington where we nullified indefinite detention and the broken feel of the TSA. Imagine a state of Washington where we didn't have to worry about the Department of Ecology flying a drone over our property. And lastly, imagine a state of Washington where we actually incentivized ammunition manufacturers and firearm accessory manufacturers to move to Washington State to do that stuff. So how do we do that? We do what we say we believe. We don't go to the government for needs anymore. And then the last thing that we do, and I think this is so important, we don't owe, and this is in our personal lives too, we don't owe anyone anything. That's what it means to be an American. That's what it means to be free. That's what liberty means in our own personal lives. So be boldly courageous in your faith. Be boldly courageous in your defense of the Constitution. Be bold and courageous in your defense of freedom. If you do that, as part of the Republican Liberty Caucus, we can turn this entire state and probably the entire country around within a couple of years if we do just that. You know, we have a great state party platform. The Freedom Agenda is the Republican Party platform, by the way. A little secret there. You know, how amazing is that? So let's learn how to articulate a principled message of freedom, a principled message of lower taxes and less government, a principled message of personal responsibility, principled message of honest money. Then let's go conservative, go big, or we'll go home. May God bless you all. May have mercy on this great state. And may this sink into your hearts today and not just leave when you leave the room. But become a part of the Republican Liberty Caucus. Preach freedom to your friends and neighbors and families so that our kids and our grandkids can live in peace and prosperity and freedom. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. So we have to reach out to the younger people that were here. You know, we had 1,300 people went to caucuses. And I'm going to stop mentioning Ron Paul's name, but they put Ron Paul as their preference. So we've got to be able to bring those people back, but we've got to become the Republican Party that they don't sneer at, that's something that they want to belong in, because they believe in the virtue of republicanism. In fact, I had an old enemy I was talking to, an enemy over the last 5 years. He said, you know, I never could really stand Ron Paul, but I do like Rand Paul. So I think we're just slowly getting to it. We need to bring those people back in too. Also, the Bird Society has the power of 500. The power of 500 means if you can get 500 educated activists within one U.S. congressional district, you can pretty much have your way within that congressional district. You can get a liberty-loving people in every single position, from federal on down to local. So that's part of the power of 500, and several of us are going to start Bird Society chapters here this upcoming year. Now, who is this guy here? That's Matt Dubin. Matt Dubin was a leader of our delegation to Tacoma at the state convention. He's a young attorney like Matt Shea. He's full of fire, and he gave one of the best speeches I ever heard. It really it doesn't last very long. He's our last speaker today, but listen to what he has to say. And Julian's going to go ahead and get that going for us. But you know, 4 years ago, Eastern Washington did pretty good. Last year, Western Washington did pretty good. So it's kind of like if you play baseball, if you hit foul balls off, one to the right, one to the left, the coach tells you to straighten it out. I think we're straightening it out. But now, from the north, we have Pam Leslie and her Okanogan County Marauders, Liberty Marauders coming down. And at the south underbelly of the state, we have Sandi Belzer, Sandi Brendale helping us there. So from all four directions, I think we can actually win this state in 2014 and 2016 and actually get our guy. We want immediate gratification, a lot of us, but it takes time. But I think 2016 can be our year, possibly even 2014. So we'll go ahead and listen to what Matt Dubin has to say. I think he's got some very intelligent words. Go ahead, Julie. Chance to watch it. Matt Dubin makes a lot of good points on it, and he says, you know, we're not here to take over the party. We are here to be the party. We are here to make coffee before the rest of the party gets here. We're here to become the precinct committee officers to get Republicans elected, and you know, it's really up to us. There's such a niche for this sort of thing that. We can do it, but it's not like we're the enemy as we're treated by. Demographics are on our side. We can actually be the party ourselves, and that was the point of what Matt Dubin was saying. He said it a lot more eloquently than I can, but I'll go ahead and give my last spiel, and let me start by saying, fellow Republicans, you know, as Matt Dubin said, we're here not to take over the party, but to be the party. And whether we're a classical liberal or a paleo-conservative or both, or whether we are a Christian or a libertarian or both, we're all agreed on limited government. And all things have gotten completely off course, out of whack for us and for our prosperity. And we know that a republic is the best form of government, that the United States is made up of smaller republics called states. And they're states, not administrative units of a central government. So let's put the word of republic back into the word republican, and so that we can pledge allegiance to the flag again and to the republic for which it stands, and not have mixed feelings about that. And that a republic is about individuals, because you know, in a republic, it is just the way to go. You know, if you go throughout history, republics have always done well until it's gotten too big, until they become too centralized. So let's work together on these things, you know, that do work, and nullify, in Matt Shea's words, the things that don't work. And let us find those natural leaders who will lead us back to those ancient values that were always true. And what's true was true today, yesterday, today, and forever. We have the plan, and we just have to follow it. And Sandi and Pam and Matt, both of them have given us this leadership. We just have to follow this plan to have the success that we needed. So I hope you enjoyed the little video as I was running before things got started. You know, a lot of it is music. You know, I don't know if there's any songwriters out here, but we need some good music like the Irish Revolution had, like the Sinead O'Connor song had. Also the Marseillaise from France, you know, in that one video. And Revolution by the Beatles. And, you know, there's so many of those good things that we'll show it again here. But here's one, oh, children, don't leave yet. There's one quick video I wanted to show you. It's from Karate Kid. It only lasts a minute. But I think if you listen to it, it's succinct. It tells us a lot about why we're here today. So if we can get that one going real quick. And don't forget about buying the tickets. If you can, if you've got $5 to buy a ticket, it's important that we're able to pay for these places. I mean, we want to give our lives, our sacred honor, and our fortunes, but not all of it if we could get past it, to make these things happen. Okay. Oh, also there's an announcement here. In fact, you want to announce it? Kevin from Citizens Alliance for Property Rights.
Good morning, I'm Kevin Paulson, the current president of the Spokane County Citizens Alliance for Property Rights. And Aline has these flyers at her table. Please pick one up. I'll tell you what it's about. We're having a Wolves and Water banquet next Saturday evening, 5:30 p.m. It starts at the Eagles Lodge, Eagles Event Center, actually, 6425 North Ledgerwood. Jim Beers is going to be our guest speaker. He's going to be speaking on wolf policy in America. Jim Beers is retired after 30 years with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And we also have our Property Rights Champion of the Year, Steve Neugebauer, who is a licensed water, he's actually, not water, hydrogeologist, and he's again, the champion of the year for property rights. We'll have some other, hopefully state representatives and possibly a state senator at the meeting, but if they're not there, we have some special wolf type awards. As I think many of you are aware, there were some wolf bills this year, and also a few other awards. Even Matt Shea, we're going to recognize him as a defender of freedom. So hopefully you can attend. To RSVP, please contact Mike Coopersmith, 599-1545. 599-1545. $25 next Saturday night, Eagles Event Center.
And I'll be there too. Also, Mark Hamilton wanted to mention April 26th, he's having a fundraiser, spaghetti feed. We all like spaghetti. It's getting close to Bloomsday, so we need to start cargo loading. Brian Gansel, do you have anything coming up? Is he still here? Or do you go back to Ferry? Oh, there.
To be announced.
To be announced. Okay, so keep following Brian. Ed Pace for Spokane Valley City Council, and you know, everybody is running. It's important that we get out there and support them. And also think about being a campaign manager. I was Matt Shea's campaign manager. Look where that led. You know, I mean, very, very successful. The best thing I ever did. So anyway, here's this little short clip. We're going to end on that from the Karate Kid.
I forgot to give this back to you last night.
You keep.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Sir, ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
And your son must talk. Walk on the road. Walk right side, safe. Walk left side, safe. Walk middle. Sooner or later, get the squish just like grape. Here, karate, same thing. Either you karate do yes, or karate do no. You karate do guess so. Just like grape. Understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Now ready?
So if we walk the middle road and we don't put our hearts into this, we'll get squished like grapes. Thank you for coming. And middle around, quickly, Mark.
We just want to do the drawing. So
Okay, Mark's going to do the drawing.
Anybody wants to buy a ticket, now's your chance.
Okay.
$5 a ticket.
So stick around so you got your ticket, and we'll do that here. But in the meantime, thank you for coming, and Mark will go ahead and announce the winner presently. So your last chance to buy tickets.